Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Conscious Dream Shift podcast. This week we have an amazing guest. I know I always say, and I will always say that we have amazing guests because I handpicked them and I love talking about them and I'm obsessed with what they have to say. Today we talk about Mo. She is so inspiring for me. She is so multi-passionate. She has a clothing brand. She is into marketing. She is into business. She's into manifestation and wow, like she is so knowledgeable. I can't even start to explain to you how amazing she is. Her journey with manifestation began with Dr. Joe Dispenza, King Dr. Joe Dispenza. And in the beginning, she was hesitant, but she started seeing change, as she will say in the podcast, when she started being intentional with it. Then she went into Abraham Hicks and she really started learning more and more. She got obsessed with it, just like we all do, and she achieved amazing manifestations through the concept of flow. So I hope you're ready to hear all about it. Welcome to the Conscious Dream Shift podcast, Mo. Hi, Mo. How you doing?
Hi Sarah, good to see you.
It's so good to see you. What time is it over there right now?
Here I am currently in Michigan and it is 11:40 a.m.
Oh, what have you been up to today?
Not much today, just got my day started. I went on a walk, I ate some breakfast. So yeah, just been chilling, getting ready for this. I'm so excited to be on and talking with you today.
It's so exciting to have you here. And okay, so what exactly do you do? Introduce yourself. What do you do in your life right now?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm kind of in a transition exploratory phase. I guess just to give you some background on me. Traditionally I'm in like the corporate marketing, like business side of things. So I'm an account manager for like e-commerce brands. So I did a lot of like business strategy, like marketing strategy and things like that. And really like kind of on the other side of my life, like I'm an artist, like I love creating and I love like obviously like manifestation and like energetics and like spirituality and things like that and personal development. Like that's I have like these two passions and like they're kind of very different. So it's been an interesting journey to like see how those two worlds kind of merge. So there's been a lot of growth and experimenting with like bringing like the energetics, like manifestation, like into business, like the more corporate world, which like traditionally is not that. And it's like very rigid
Mm-hmm.
and like masculine and things. So that's kind of my background right now. I'm no longer in that role and I'm exploring kind of doing this full time. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, making a lot of content and just kind of focusing on sharing my message. So I don't know. I don't know exactly like what that journey looks like, but that's kind of where I'm at right now is just kind of exploring
yeah.
these things and figuring out where I want to go with it.
And I'm loving your content. Just for the
Thank
people
you.
listening, I met her, like I did, this is the first time we see each other, but I met her through a YouTube video. And her YouTube video was so amazing. I was like, this is so insightful. I want this person to share value with people like that listen to me and then like hear what I have to say. And you were first introduced to manifestation through Dr. Joe Dispenza, our king. Can you share how his teachings initially impacted your life? What made you take them more seriously?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like everyone can relate to this, but I would like hear about manifestation, like spirituality, and be like, okay, but like I feel like then you hear it one time and it like hits. And you're like, okay, like no, this is
Mm,
a and that was kind of him for me. I don't know why. I think, well, I do know why. I think it was because like he really bridges the gap between like spirituality and like science. So like people who
yeah.
really operate within like the Newtonian model, like physicality, like it makes sense. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I listened on Audible to his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I was living in New Orleans at the time and I was just like working at a burrito shop. And on my way to work, I would like listen to it and like I was like, I'm gonna try this. Like, I'm just gonna do an experiment with reality. You know what I mean? And that's really what it is like you don't have to take anyone's word. Like you can test these things out. And so that's what I would do. I would just like I like basically was planning on moving out to California and I was like, I just want to manifest like a specific type of job and a specific type of apartment. So it was pretty simple, you know what I mean? But it was something that I wanted at the time. So I would basically just like practice what he says. I didn't do a lot of meditations, but I would do like the walking meditation. So I would just like walk to work and like
Mm.
embody the state of like the wish fulfilled. And I basically just forgot about it. Like I did that for a couple weeks and forgot about it. And then a couple weeks later, I had moved to California and I was in the exact job that I had like written down, like everything to a T in the same apartment. Like it was ridiculous. And so that by that point, I was like, okay, like there's something happening here. And so I started implementing it more like once I lived in California and just like ridiculous things would manifest,
No
like to a
way.
T. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got introduced. And I was like, okay, there's something here for sure.
That's like the coolest thing also because it reminded me of when I was working in a cafe and I would walk to work every day. It was about like 15-minute walk. Never
Yeah,
done a walking meditations. I remember like talking to the universe like God or like it was something that like would actually hear me speaking instead of
yeah,
like doing like I do now. I do more like of an energy thing. Like I communicate through energy. So I was like I would like embody the thing. But before I would like actually speak, not out loud, but actually speak in my head and be like, you know what? I know that you can do this. Let me see this sign if this is what I need to do. Let me see.
yeah,
I was going through a breakup, so I was like, if that person is meant for me, make that person that always comes and sits at the table because they were like usual customers, like and wear a red shirt, and that person would come and we wear like the opposite color, like white. I was like,
yeah.
okay, so if that person is now meant for me, make them come with a red shirt. The day after, the person would come with a red shirt. I was like, oh my
Really?
God. So
You're
I was
like,
like, yeah, but you can bet I was a sucker for that person, so I just went back to them, even though the
yep,
universe
we
said
all do
no.
it. We all do it.
I would be like, yeah, but that's a coincidence. But it was actually
You're like,
not.
it's wrong.
It
Really
was
got it,
not.
but it's wrong.
It was not
That's
because then that person obviously causes me like lots of trauma and stuff. So it would be like, ah. So I should have listened
you
to the
always
universe.
will. Eventually, yeah, we all do it.
Never do that again.
No.
And so you didn't like actually believe what Dr. Joe Dispenza was saying at first. Like you were like kind of meh, and then you tried it and it was working, and you're like, okay, we're onto something, right?
Yeah, it made sense to me conceptually, but the fact that it could actually be real was just like at that point, like so far out of my realm of possibility. I was just like, the only thing I can do is try this and see if it works. And when it did, I was just, yeah, it's crazy.
And like you said that you were telling me in your description that resistance was like the concept of resistance was a turning point for you, right? So can you
Yeah,
explain what is resistance in the context of manifestation and how you overcome resistance? Because that's something that everybody I think that resonates with. Like it's like
yeah.
you have something in your life and it's like you're resisting it instead of letting it go. So how do you go about it? What is resistance, first of all?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really similar to like attachment. So like the way I experience it is like,
Hey, are you a coach, a business owner that's looking to run their business full time and making thousands and thousands of dollars out of it every single month? Then you're going to be thrilled to know that the doors to CDS Academy are finally open. And for the occasion, I chose to give out a free 30-minute masterclass on launching your business and reprogram your subconscious mind in order to hit every single goal you've ever wished in business and in life. You can either DM me on Instagram Cashflow to watch it immediately, and it's Cashflow all together, all in caps, or you find a link to it in the show notes of this episode. I'll see you on the other side.
I mean, I think it's more of a feeling. So like anytime you feel this sort of discomfort with something, I feel like that's resistant. And that can be for a number of reasons. Like that can be like you're holding on to it too tight or you don't believe it can happen. So I think there's a number of different ways that it can manifest, but typically like I feel like when you're non-resistant, it feels very open and like very flowing and like very positive. And then when you're resistant, like it feels very contracted and like it's negative. So that's the way I would describe it. Um, in terms of how I discovered resistance and then eventually overcame it is like when I was living in California and things were starting to manifest very quickly, then I sort of came to the point where it's like mentally instead of just like exploring and like playing with this thing, now I'm like, okay, now I want to manifest and make something happen. So I sort of switched into this like trying energy. So instead of me just being like, oh, let's see what happens and like explore it, now I'm like, okay, like I want these things to manifest. So I think that's how a lot of my resistance built up. And I was, going through the motions and doing these things. But like when I was in meditations, it was more of like a trying energy and like a forcing energy versus just like an allowing energy. And I think, like you said, I think a lot of people can relate to this. And it's probably, in my experience, like one of the most challenging parts of manifestation because when we're manifesting, like we do want these things. And it's ironic because, like, in order to have these things, like a lot of times you do have to let them go. So for me, like one of the biggest things that has helped is just like going general with things and like learning how to be playful. So like you can do your visualizations and like try to embody the state, but like if you're at a point where embodying that state is like too big of a gap for you or it's feeling negative or feeling really tense, like just go general about things. Like take your focus off of those things, focus on things that feel good. because, you know, it is vibrational. So even if you're not necessarily on the topic of the thing you're trying to manifest, like just focusing on something else that feels good can still like create movement on that topic in your life, is what I've experienced.
Yeah, I feel like okay, my current boyfriend, not the one that traumatized me earlier. My
Not that
boyfriend.
one. Forget that one.
Not that one, forget about it. So he is I feel like he has a lot of resistance, even though he's like more dedicated to the practices than me. I think he's a boy, he's more masculine, so he tends to take more action towards stuff. But I feel like he tends to have more resistance than me because I like to play with it, be like, you know what, if it doesn't happen, then like it's not supposed to happen. And that's because I've done manifestation for longer, because I used to force stuff a lot. But he is more like okay, but why is it not happening? But how do I let it go? I want it. And so we go through these, like every week we tend to go through these things. And then I told him to go like, you know what? There's something about like, okay, the gas prices in Italy are like skyrocketing. So he obviously he uses his car. So he was feeling resistance towards it, being a little frustrated. And I was like, why don't you manifest gas? And he's like, why would I do that? Like what is God gonna do? Gonna put down the prices? I was like,
Yeah.
just manifest gas. Like
Right.
just
Yeah.
try. It's literally like you don't even want that. Like you know that
So
you have to pay
it
the
should be easy. Yeah.
yeah. And so he was like, what? And then he just let it go. And then he came to me last week and be like, you know, I haven't paid myself for gas for like almost 2 weeks. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, like my I went to my grandma to visit her because she was sick. She gave me money. And then I went to my mom and she gave me like $10. And then I went to that person and they gave me that. And I was like, that's crazy. So the day he told me, he's like, you know what? I don't pay for gas anymore because the universe said so. I was like, yeah. And then we went to a birthday party and my uncle was like, Sarah, I have this bonus for gas. Do you want
No.
to have that? And I was like, look, I don't have a car. He's my
Yeah.
like my driver, so and he literally like I was like, oh yeah, Michele wants it. And he's like looking at me like, you see what's going on here?
Yeah.
And
So he
then
was there too. So you guys were
yeah,
like
yeah, he was there with me. We
together.
went to a birthday party, and my uncle came to me. I was like, do you want this? And he gave us like a week worth of gas, and he was like, what's going on here? And
Oh
now
my God.
he's covered for the next like 3 weeks, and it's
Dude.
so crazy because he's never manifested something like so quickly. And that's
And you
and I told him that's just because you let go of it. Like you weren't really expecting it
you
to
didn't really
happen.
care. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I love stories like that. Because it's like, I love stories that like aren't like a big thing, but they're like super specific because it's like, it's exactly like that. When they manifest, you're like, there's no way this wasn't us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's just no
Yeah.
way. Like, this
Because
was
it's
not
too
happening before.
specific.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the best.
And that all started because he was initially feeling resistance toward the fact that he was like spending he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't anything. It's almost like he does for the amount he spends in gas. So he
Yeah.
was like, I'm literally spending so much money on it. And that's not because of a lack of money. It was just a lack of like, I don't know, like feeling towards this thing. Like he
Yeah.
didn't like
Yeah.
doing that.
That's so
And
interesting.
so yeah, like it's so crazy. It's so crazy because I didn't mean for it to manifest this way. I was just
Yeah.
telling him like just try it. And then
And I think
literally it's been like a month.
the other thing that's interesting too is I feel like I read somewhere recently like that Neville Goddard says like don't try to manifest like money for the thing, like manifest the actual thing itself. And I feel like
Mm,
that's a good example because like if he were to be like, "Oh, I'm spending so much on gas, like I want to make more money." There might have been more resistance there versus just like being like, "Oh, like I want my
yeah.
gas paid for." You know what I mean?
Yeah, he wasn't exactly. That's a good point actually. Like he wasn't manifesting money. He was just manifesting more gas in his tank. And
Yeah.
where it was like dropping the prices of the actual gas in our zone, or it was just getting money, or it was someone giving him like a full thing of gas or whatever. He was
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
manifesting
well,
that.
that's the other thing too. Like he didn't have like a certain outcome in mind. Like he was like, what's gonna
Mm,
happen? Lower the
yeah.
prices. And I feel like that too, like opened so many doorways. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah,
like
that's a
ways
good
to make
point. Yes, that's such a breakthrough that I'm having right now. Like, yeah, it's because he wasn't really going like, I'm gonna manifest more gas by like someone giving me money, or by
Yeah.
the prices need to drop, so he would visualize the price dropping. He didn't even
Yeah.
visualize, he didn't do anything. He was just, okay, let's see what happens.
That's the way it is now. I
Yeah.
just don't think, yeah.
Speaking of like techniques, you say that you use different techniques based on like the thing that you want to manifest. How do you exactly go about it? Like I have like a specific routine. I would just wake up, affirm, visualize, and that's how most of my manifestations come true. But what do you exactly do?
Yeah, I've played with it a lot, and I think it kind of changes this just like depending on how I'm feeling. I would say like generally my routine is like I like before bed, like I would say like 1 to 2 hours before bed, I will like either go in like a dark closet or like turn off all the lights,
Mm,
and put on like some sort of like theta beats or like frequency or something. Basically just like anything to like visualize to. Sometimes I'll do like scripting or like look at my vision board before that just to kind of like get myself
mm,
in mindset. But I basically just like visualize for like an hour, sometimes more if it's like enjoyable and I'm like really connecting with my vision and it's like feeling good. That's pretty much what I do. And then I won't in the mornings, like what I will do is I'll just do like a white noise meditation. So I'll turn on like a fan or like some sort of white noise and basically like I'll just tune into that. And I think this is like an Abraham Hicks tool that I kind of picked up from her. And this changed my life tremendously because like talking about like releasing resistance, I feel like when I was only visualizing, like I would wake up and immediately be like, oh my gosh, am I assuming the state? Am I doing this right? Like
mm,
I would build up resistance. And like what that did for me is like when you, for me, like when I tune into like the white noise, it like I sort of like detach and you sort of get this like softness and like your vibration naturally rises because your mind's quieting. And then basically like I won't try to force anything like the whole day. Like I said, like I'll try to be really general and like easy with myself. Like I really try to like fill up my life as much as possible with like things that make me feel whole. So like if I'm trying to manifest money, like a lot of times I actually won't focus on money. Like I'll focus on things that emit the feeling that I'm trying to embody. So like at least for me, and I think probably a lot of people feel this way too, is like when you're trying to manifest money, like it's not really the money that you want. It's like the emotions that come with that. You want the freedom, you want the feeling of
yeah.
abundance, like safety, security. And like 9 times out of 10, like people when they focus on money aren't feeling like there's all these other negative emotions attached with it. So I try to like focus on things that easily just get me into that state. So like if I'm trying to manifest more money, like I'll focus on like friendships, like playing games with people, like eating good food. Like I basically asked myself like if I already had the thing that I wanted, like what would I be doing? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I would feel good. I'd be living my life. I'd be just enjoying it. Instead of like coming from this place of like, oh my gosh, like you shouldn't be waiting for it to happen. So I try my best to just like live fully and like feel good. And like I said, if you're getting into a place where maybe like you're feeling resistant, you're not feeling super good, like I try to just go general and like focus on things that feel good, and then I'll visualize again at night. But during the day, I'm mostly just trying to release resistance and
And
feel
what do
good.
you think that white noise does to the meditation? Is it just relaxing to you?
Yeah, I don't know. It helps me just detach and like quiet my mind. It's
That's
hard to
cool.
explain, and I feel like there's so many different tools, you know what I mean? And like you can try so many different
Yeah.
things. But yeah, that one for whatever reason worked for me. So I don't know. It might be something to try out.
That's yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that out. I don't think I've ever heard of it. And why do you think that people ask for like the person to like set the date? Like set the date for your manifestation to happen when
Yeah.
you shouldn't be waiting for it.
I don't know. I feel like I have mixed feelings about like set the date manifestations. I've heard of people having success with it, so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying it doesn't work. Um, and I think it always comes back to how you feel, right? Because like it's not about the tools themselves, it's about like your emotions should be
Obviously.
your guide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if that makes you feel good and you're secure in that and you know it's going to happen and you have full faith and trust, then do it by all means. Like I think it's very possible. For me, most of the time, it makes me feel resistant and
Mm,
concerned
yeah,
and
that's
worried,
that's what
right?
ruined most of my manifestations before. It was like always because my one of my first books about manifestation was Think and Grow Rich by
Mhm.
Napoleon Hill, and he because it apparently changed so many people's lives. I'm gonna say something like horrific, but it didn't change my life.
I
It
kind of feel the same way. It's good,
yeah.
but it has a lot more hype than it probably.
Yeah, exactly. The hype was not it. Like it was I don't know. Maybe it works for people, for some people, and for
And
some
I think
doesn't.
I
Yeah.
think at the time it came out, it might have been like revolutionary, but like now I think we have so many other books that it's like,
Yeah, they're like even greater than that. And that's
yeah,
totally fine. Like we're not bashing Napoleon Hill. He's the
yeah,
king. But
yeah,
but yeah, when I read it, he was like, you need to set a specific date and read the thing multiple times, blah blah blah. And the thing is that whenever I would set a date, then I would be like, oh my God, the time is coming. Like it's almost there. Oh my God, it doesn't look like anything is happening yet. Like all that stuff. It would ruin my faith in the manifestation. But when I stopped expecting it for a specific date and just be like, things are gonna just put in place when they have to. I expect it towards this date, but I don't, I'm not gonna put like the resistance on it. It's just gonna be, if
yeah.
it doesn't happen, then it's not meant to for that date. Then I'm gonna expect it for another date. But the date for me is something that ruined it. And now I just use it, yeah, as a way to like hype myself up. Like, oh my God, in a month
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, but not actually believe
But
in.
you're not attached to it.
Yeah, not exactly attaching. I don't mean to say believe it. I'm not attaching to the date. I'm just attaching to the feeling that I feel.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to approach it. I think, yeah, if you can believe it without being like super concerned and worried about it, then it's fine. But I will say like some of my like quickest manifestations, like one of the things I said and like embodied was like it might not come today, but when it comes, like it's gonna come eventually. Like I think eventually for me just releases a ton of resistance and makes things come faster because I'm like, it doesn't have to happen today. It doesn't even have to happen this month. You know what I mean? But I know
Hmm.
eventually it's coming. And if you know that, like, I just feel like that's such a quick way to just embody the feeling like, oh, it's already,
Totally.
it doesn't matter when, it'll be here, you know?
And you talk about these things on YouTube, and what are the strategies you're using for YouTube?
Yeah, for sure. I'm still pretty fresh, so I'm learning myself. But I will say like, and I hate to give this advice because I feel like this is always the advice people give, but like I tried to start YouTube like years ago and really just couldn't stay consistent. And all I will say is like just take action, just do it and like feel your way through it. Like always just keep showing up and like talking about the things that feel right to you and like feel natural to you. Like don't try to like pinhole yourself into like doing what other people are doing, like trying to be successful. Like just come on YouTube and talk to talk. Like the people that are meant to find you will find you. And like 9 times out of 10, like I just feel like when you can be yourself, like you're embodying your dharma. And like when you do that, like it just it's like less forceful, you know what I mean? And so even talking about like
Hmm.
manifestation and allowing like you being your organic self is going to make things do better. And like when I like the less I'm trying in my videos and like the more I'm having fun, like those are the ones that end up performing best. So don't like get too stressed and like in your head about it. Like just start. Even if you don't have the answers, like the universe will guide you. Like you can always like adjust things as you go. So yeah, just dive in head first and keep exploring.
That's so beautiful because I started YouTube and then I dropped it because it was a lot of work. Like it's a lot more work than just like taking my phone and like speaking for a minute like I do on
Yeah.
Instagram. And I feel the same way. Like I feel like once I post the video, then I'm tied to it. Then I need to start posting every single week or every single day or every single whatever. And the thing is that right now I'm not in a space of like posting consistently on YouTube. I'm just trying to stick to Instagram and taking my energy and just pouring it on Instagram. But I love YouTube. Like YouTube is like my favorite platform to watch and to be on because I love to yap. But it's just something that takes a lot more time and that I can't afford right now. But they've definitely like these interviews, obviously I'm gonna post them on YouTube. So it's like a way that it manifested into my life because I was like, I want to do YouTube. I want to do long form content, but I don't know how to. And now I'm just
Mhm.
using, in air quotes, other people's knowledge and other people's like stories, and I'm just putting them on YouTube. And I'm also gonna do like episodes by myself. So even though I didn't have the time to be on YouTube, now somehow the universe brought to me like this, all of these people that I'm interviewing. Like it's been crazy because it went from zero to like 3 calls in a day with people and interviewing them.
Wow.
It's so crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy about it because I manifested it and I didn't even realize I was manifesting it. I was just taking action randomly, be like, let me see if Mo wants to come on the episode with me. And then you said yes. I was like, what? She said yes? And you did.
Yeah.
And now then after you, so many people came on and be like, I want to be interviewed in your podcast. Let me like send me the link to like schedule, blah, 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 blah. It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's like a whole new way to approach
Yeah.
like something that you were doing before.
Yeah, because I wanted to do like, I don't know, like Alex Hormozy style, be like
Yeah.
put in all of these things on the YouTube channel and like on the video and like all of these tags and stuff. But actually, the content that I love is the one that's like kind of slower, but that you can just put on like while you're cooking and you'll have it like on there and
Yeah.
like as a background noise and you're just listening to it and be like, oh, this is actually good, let me write it down. That's the kind of content that I love. So why not creating that kind of content? Because I hate the content that's full of editing, for example. But I
I
wanted to
do
be,
too, but but it's interesting because it performs well. Like that's conceptually, I think what a lot of us think. And so I think we try so hard to like be the certain, it's almost like we have this belief that like we couldn't possibly be successful at doing something that's easy to us. So we don't do
yeah,
that. We do
oh
everything
my
but that.
God,
You know what I mean?
yes,
And then it's like
yes.
once you actually just do what's natural, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
it just comes naturally to me. Like, so one thing about me is I'm awkward. So I tend to be awkward with people. So I would be like, if I don't edit the video so much, then it's just gonna be awkward because sometimes I'm messing up in my speaking and then I get
yeah,
nervous and be like, oh my God, now people are just gonna think that I messed it up. But actually, like nobody cares if you mess it up. Like you
no.
can just repeat the same sentence 3 times in a row in the video or like stutter. Nobody's gonna care.
Yeah. They
Because
don't. And to your point too, like yeah, some of my favorite creators like don't edit those things out. And it just I like that I feel like I'm chatting with someone real. So
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know.
And like if they stutter, it's like the thing is that we tend to criticize a lot ourselves, but we don't criticize people the same amount that we criticize ourselves. Like
So true.
why do you criticize yourself so much if you don't criticize other people so much? So it's
Yeah, it's
just
so
crazy.
dumb.
Like sometimes people might look at you and be like, "Oh, I would love her confidence. I would love her way of speaking." But in the same time, while you're editing the video, you're like, oh my God, no, I sound stupid, but everybody's thinking you're so confident.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And they
I've
might see
started to,
things that yeah, you don't even see in yourself. So like
yeah, and that merges with detaching. Like if you detach yourself from all of these things, things are gonna
yep.
go so much more easily. And speaking of like keeping content engaging, how do you make sure that your content stays engaging?
I mean, I think they kind of go together. And this kind of goes with like taking action and detaching because like you don't know that like not every video is going to be a hit, you know what I mean? But like
Mm,
and I think that the thought of that can be scary and kind of keep us from taking action. You know what I mean? Like it's scary to put out a video and like people not like it or like it not do well. But like that
yeah.
will you almost have like the more you post, the more detached you are because you're just posting. You know what I mean? So you have to
Mm,
find a way to just keep taking action and not caring and putting it out there. Some things are gonna hit, some things aren't. And I think you kind of figure that out as you start to, get into it and kind of go along with things like you become more intuitive of like what your audience wants to hear about and like what you like talking about. I don't know, so that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. I'm just talking about what feels right and what I'm moving through because people seem to be resonating with that, but that might change down the road. I would like to hear more about like eventually like what my audience wants me to talk about, so like maybe I'll like put a quiz out there
yeah,
or
because
something like
that's like the point. Like it's posting more of what people want to see, but it's more like you should keep in mind to always but like it sometimes it's I hate to say that, but sometimes it's quantity over quality because
yeah.
you take so long to edit or to like think of the video when you could have created three in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And when I hear people saying like quality is more important than quantity, like I feel like it's like a debate that people have, like quantity or
Yeah.
quality, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like quantity is a lot more important because the more
Yeah,
you
I
post, the
agree.
better you become at it. But people
I
hate
I
that.
agree. I know. I have always I've always heard that too in the user community. Like make sure you like edit your video right and blah blah blah. But for me, like some of my best videos have just been like when I was just like, oh, I want to talk about this thing. Let me just set up
Mm,
camera and like talk
yeah.
quick and post it. And like, but like, so I think it depends on your definition of like quality. You know what I mean? Because like, and I feel like that's not taken into account. Like you don't have to do a bunch of crazy editing and things like
Mm,
sometimes quality might just be you like truly speaking from your heart and like that can be a quick thing. That doesn't have to be something that takes you hours. So yeah, I
right.
agree. I think if you can post more, especially starting out, like probably not a lot of people are watching. So just like put yourself out there and start getting a feel for it.
Right, like the first video I saw of you was not edited at all. Like I remember you seeing like you mentioning stuff and be like, obviously this was like at first it threw me off. I was like, wait, she didn't edit that out.
Yeah.
And it was like you I was like maybe she forgot to edit it. I was like maybe she posted the wrong one. But then I was like I think she actually did it just because she's authentic. And that's what I loved.
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? Because I knew if I didn't, I was just not, it was gonna take forever and I wasn't gonna post it. I was like, it's just gonna go up. And that's
Yeah,
literally like
yeah,
just that was
and I love that. Okay, so speaking of money now, because everybody wants money, but nobody knows how money actually works. What is your approach to money? How do you see money? What's your mindset around it?
that's a good question. It's definitely changed over the years. And I know I kind of touched on this earlier, but like every time I've been able to like manifest more money is when I wasn't focused on money. So I feel like when it comes to manifesting money, in my experience, like there's kind of this fine line between like setting the intention and like taking aligned action. So that might be like you applying for new jobs or like learning like a high income skill or whatever it is, while also like being detached and not like putting too much importance on money.
Mm-hmm.
Because really it is just an energy. And I think for a long time I was like, I don't really know what that means. Like it's an energy, but like it's this tangible thing that we use. But like I touched on earlier, like really it's the feeling that it gives us what we're looking for. So like the more you can find things in your life that make you feel secure, that make you feel abundant, the more you can kind of cultivate things like that. That's when I've been able to actually manifest more money in sort of conjunction with like taking aligned action. So for me, like it's really important that like I live a life that's full and like one of the things that has helped me just so much in like changing my frequency to like be abundant is like romanticizing life. And that's like little things like I think like a lot of times it can be really easy for us to get like sort of stuck in like stagnancy and like feel sort of mundane and like just do things to get them done instead of like romanticizing them. So like even it sounds so stupid, but it makes such a massive difference like subconsciously to your energy. Like even like putting like garnish on your pancakes or like taking like a bubble bath, like little things that like they signal to you that you're not in survival mode and that you have an abundance of time, that life is
Mm.
beautiful, that it's playful, that it's artistic. Like the more you can find ways to like put yourself in that energy, like it changes the game. So I
I
don't know.
feel
That's my advice. And every time I'm able to like do that and step into that state, that's when I'm able to make more money easily.
I feel like this advice was for me because I tend to be the person that's like, I'm just gonna get this done.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like, I don't say that I don't have time for it, but I think I communicate it to myself. Like, for example, when I cook, I don't like cooking. I'm not particularly a person that cooks because I have my boyfriend. Why would I cook? Like, he
Yeah.
cooks.
Exactly.
So what I do is like, when I cook for myself, it's just, I want to get this done. I just want to eat. So I
Yeah.
don't like make it look pretty. I just put it all on one like in the plate and be like, okay, that's it. And my sister always makes fun of me for that because she's like, oh wow, you must have been a chef in your past life because it's so ugly. Like my plates are so ugly, but they're good. It's
You're
just they're
good.
ugly.
Yeah.
And but I've been reading. This is embarrassing, but I've been reading a Court of Thorns and Roses right now. I'm a Court of Mist and Fury, which is a book from like Sarah J. Maas,
Mhm.
and the thing is that she romanticizes everything, like even the flowers that are in the book, she
Yeah.
romanticizes them. And that had on me an effect of like, because I'm reading it like for 4, 5, 6 hours a day, now everything I look is like magical, is like in
Yeah.
this fairy world, and it's so good. And so I'm starting to see how beautiful things are when I manifest, and like I manifest through seeing everything so beautiful.
I go the same way. I used to be like really mechanical with everything and like just trying
Mm,
to get through it. But yeah, you really have to like make a process out of everything. And even like in work, like before, like I'd be like, okay, like I just need to get this task done and like blah blah blah. Now, like I light a candle, like I turn on like ambient music,
Oh,
I make sure my lighting's good. Or like when I'm cooking, like before I would just try to like get through it because I like want to eat. But now I like have a glass of wine, like I'll turn on some jazz, like anything you can do to just like be present and enjoy the process. Like yeah, it's a game
so
changer.
okay, so because I'm new to this topic as well, do you do you think like that communicates just that you're safe? Is it a way to regulate your nervous system?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
okay,
I think
that's
so 100%. I just think it signals to your mind and I guess like the universe that like you're abundant, like you're playful, you know what I mean? You're not just trying to, because when you're like in like that mode of like just trying to get things done, like that's like signaling to yourself and the universe, like you're in survival. You're just trying to get things done. And I think like when you
mm,
emphasize things, like it just feels abundant and it feels whole.
honestly, this was an episode of breakthroughs. Like, to be honest, I've never heard of an episode that would give me so many breakthroughs like you have done today. And not in my podcast, in every podcast. And I knew that you were gonna be amazing on here. Like, it's so good. Like, the way of like romanticizing life to regulate your nervous system, I've never heard of it because many times you see like people being like, just do it, just get it done, like don't overthink
Yeah.
it. But if you overthink it in a good way, then it's good and it's so
Yeah.
good. Like I appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are just starting out, because you have a clothing brand but you also want to be a coach, you were telling me you
Potentially,
would
yeah.
like to,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah,
and like
specifically.
being in a place of like you're deciding to do it, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about a lot of good things that are worth implementing.
Yeah.
I think probably the two that I just would want to re-highlight is like take action, lessen the importance of things, detach from the outcome, and just start and keep focusing on taking the next right step. Like the universe will guide you, it will give you the answers. Use your intuition, trust your gut. You're gonna sh shift things and evolve along the way.
Mm,
So make sure to be flexible. I think for a lot of like people going into business, especially if it's not something they've been in before, like there's kind of this misconception that like it has to be super rigid and structured and like
yeah.
survivalistic, and there's all this pressure on like making money. And working in business for a number of years, I would say the less you can get out of that mindset and actually like go against like the things you think about business and like try to be authentic, be organic, like and work with your business, like be flexible. Like the way to think about a business, like think about it like a plant. Like your business is alive, it's an organism, it's not something that's stagnant and structured. Like it shifts, it evolves, and like the more you can like pour into it with like love and playfulness and like good energy and like have fun with it, like that's where you're really going to be successful, I think.
That's so amazing. Like you have a brilliant mind. I can't get over it.
Thank
And
you.
where can our listeners find you to get more of
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, for sure. You can check me out on YouTube. I talk there really every couple of days. My handle is Momo Geyer, Geyer. And then same on Instagram, Momo Geyer. I'm also starting on TikTok, and over there I'm Momo Mastery _. So yeah, check me out.
Yeah, obviously I'm gonna put the links in the show notes, but definitely
Cool.
check her out. She's, well, you heard her. She's amazing. And so I'm hoping to see you again on my podcast to talk about like more specific nitty-gritty topics.
Yeah.
And I would love to have you. And I'll see you soon then. Okay?
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.